Hello, my name is Miley Valencia, and the title for today is Features of Sinusoidal Functions. Today, I'll be explaining how to find three features of any sine function on a graph, and those are the midline, the amplitude, and the period. But before we start this lesson, we must remember the sine function as you can see here on the screen. And this is important because it connects the features on the graph with its equation and gives us a better understanding to how these features can be found. Step 1, the midline. Now, the midline is a horizontal line that is found in the very center of any sine graph. Some tend to believe that the midline is always on the x-axis, as you can see here, but that isn't always true because the sine graph can move up or down depending on the equation. In this case, the midline will not be on the x-axis. With that, there are two ways one can find the midline. It could be from merely counting the units and finding a point on the y-axis to which the units are equal on both sides, or simply adding the y values of the max and the minimum and finding the average of that. For this, we'll find the average by setting up the equation as to be 6 plus negative 2 over 2, and then from that we get 4 over 2, and simplifying that, we get 2. This means that the midline is equal to 2. You can see on the graph where the horizontal line is right here, that y2 is the midline, and our answer is 2. Now, step 2, the amplitude. Now that we know the midline right here, we can now find the amplitude, which is the height of the graph. Going back to the basic sine function, the a located in front of the sine or the cosine will be equal to the amplitude. But seeing as this graph, we must use a different method in order to find the amplitude. Instead, we will use the midline and measure the distance from it to either the minimum or to the max. From counting, as shown here and here, it is equal to 4 units. 4. And following the amplitude equation, that the absolute value of 4, the amplitude of this graph will then be 4, and that is the amplitude. Now finally, the period of the graph. Step 3. The period within a sine function is the length of one cycle. And in a basic sine function, the b, or the frequency of the graph, is needed to complete the equation for period, which is 2 pi over b, or frequency. But, however, another way to find the period is by choosing a point on the graph and following the curve until you reach the same point, but the only difference is that it is on the next curve. And once you find the new point, or the coordinate, you take the x value of it, of the coordinate, and that is your period. Now, having to use that and find the period of this graph, I chose point of 0, 2, and followed the graph until I reached the same point but on the next curve, and that coordinate would then be pi 2. Now, knowing that the period is equal to the x value of that coordinate, then I know that this period right here is equal to pi. And my answer for the period is that the period equals to pi. And that's how you find the period of any sine graph. Thank you for watching.